What's up, YouTube? NFT Jeff here. Welcome to NFTs for Newbies. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 phases of launching a successful NFT. Now, I've dissected and worked with and talked to a bunch of people and done a ton of research and really isolated down to 5 main phases that are needed for a successful NFT launch. In today's video, I'm going to break down each of those phases and help you to be able to make sure your next NFT launch is a success. See you in today's video. What's up, YouTube? NFT Jeff here. So today we're going over the 5 phases of a successful NFT launch. Now, phase number 1 is really it's basically it's sort of 2 phases. It's 2-part actually. The first part is really your idea, your design, your not really creation, but your creation, but not in the essence of making, but creating the actual NFT. You need to have your mission statement here. You know, what is your NFT in 1 or 2 words? Like if you can't tell someone real quick in like what they consider almost an elevator pitch, what your product is, what your NFT is all about, what it represents, you know, real quick, you need to be able to get that across. You don't know your project well enough. You know, during this time, you want to really start locking down all your utilities, creating a roadmap, and not just a roadmap for the launch, but a roadmap for the next year. That's one of the major problems. A lot of NFTs come is they'll do a roadmap and they'll like, yeah, we get to launch. And once they launch, they're like, they feel like they're done. And that's when the real job starts, is once you launch, because then you've got a group of people that you owe a valuable NFT. You owe a project that's going to provide value to them for the long haul. That's why people want to get involved in NFTs. So these are things you're gonna be thinking of. You'll have, like I said, your utility. Who's your target market. You want to really dial down who's going to be buying your product and what it is. Like get everything about it. You want to just get down. And there is no real time for this. I would recommend getting it done, ideally within the first week to 2 weeks, have all the, outlines of everything. Now, this is going to change as you start building stuff, as you start working with people, as you start doing different things. This is going to change, but you really need to have that basis down during this idea phase. This, design phase is, you really need to understand what your NFT is all about. And if you can't answer these questions, don't move out of this phase. Stay in this phase and keep collaborating, working with others, getting help from groups, maybe, joining my NFT Empire or something like, or Empire Maker, something like that, and going that route so that we can get help. But this is really the most important phase. Well, they're all equally important, but this one, you're setting the foundation for everything. Without this, you don't want to move on. You want to stay right here. You want to make sure that you've got all the rudimentary stuff knocked out. I mean, like when you're starting to tell people about this and you've like starting to move to marketing, you need to have all this locked down. So this is really that idea, that design type phase right there is phase 1, just really getting all the nuances down. Now, while phase 1 goes on, there's like a sub phase that happens at the same time, and this is building your team. Now, depending on how big your project goes or you want it to go, I would recommend, thinking of this like a business. You want to have a team built out, just like you'd have a team to support your business. Think about your founders, which are you probably are on top. And unfortunately, depending on how you can work it, you might be able to give out percentages, work deals, whatever. We'll cover that all in later videos. But you really need people to help you out. Now, the first person I want to talk about for, we'll call it phase like B, getting your team together, is an operations manager. This is someone that can run the entire team, run everybody, because you as the founder, you might be the idea person, you might be able to do X, Y, or Z, but you might not be able to really run a project. And when you find you're running a multi-million-dollar project with, potentially 50, 100,000, couple 100,000, who knows, people just in your Discord alone, you're going to need a project manager to be making sure everything's on time, that's happening, that is somebody that everybody can report to, that's running the whole show. And that might be you as the founder. It might be you watching this video. But ideally, I would recommend, if that's not like your lane of genius, to hire someone who it is, because they're going to have insight and knowledge on things that you're not going to even know about. Of course, that's how we grow in this industry, is making mistakes and learning from them. So hey, maybe you might be the operation manager. I don't know. So the next thing I'm going to say is you're going to need a marketing department. Now, I don't necessarily say you're going to need a marketing department head, but your marketing department's going to consist of your artist, obviously. And then realistically, you probably, if your artist can't do this, you're going to need a graphic design person, somebody that's doing your post, that's helping with a website, that's any type of promotional marketing type stuff. I would recommend actually getting a person whose job is doing graphic design and making amazing looking mock-ups and things for your NFTs, for your project, because this is going to, what people are going to see, and is going to actually give you a level up of, of legitimacy, just because they're going to see this and be like, wow, this is done amazing. Look how awesome this is, blah, blah, blah. You understand that. You've experienced yourself when you come to a project before you even know what's going on. You're like almost sold just because everything looks so cool. Now, mind you, this is one of the first people that I'd say, hey, you could probably do without. You can probably figure something out or something, or maybe find somebody on Fiverr, I guess, if you had to do this for you. But if you had to cut out any of these jobs and you're just going bare bones, the graphic design person would be one of the ones that you could eliminate right off the bat. The next thing, you're going to need a marketing manager. You're going to need someone to run your marketing campaign, and they can come up with the campaigns themselves to know what to do to be able to market properly. That's one of the biggest problems right now in the NFT space, is because there was such a rush and every NFT used to sell, people were just throwing stuff against the wall and everything was sticking. Well, the problem is so many of those campaigns didn't have a marketing strategy, both pre-launch and post-launch marketing strategies in place, and they didn't have anybody putting these out or making sure that everything works. So they just fell apart, quite honestly. And that's one of the things that you really need to think about, is not only your marketing leading up to the launch itself, but post-launch for the next year. What other collaborations you're going to do, what other marketing you're going to do to be able to get more people in, because the more demand you make for your product, the more people are going to want to buy it and join your NFT. It's the same, it's marketing 101. So underneath the marketing department, probably going to need a copywriter. Again, this is one person you could probably exclude, would be the copywriter. I would not exclude. You need to get a marketer. You need someone to be able to do your marketing campaign. Of course, no one's going to love your baby as much as you do, but you might not be a marketer. You might not know how to promote. You need some of that knowledge, because that is one of the biggest problems right now, is not knowing how to properly market and promote your NFT. But copywriter, someone to write copy for your emails, for your posts, for your website, for anywhere out, for, Medium, if you're doing Medium articles, maybe you're doing it, trying to get in other publications, whatever it is, I would recommend getting a copywriter if you can afford it. This might be something you might not be able to afford. And if so, this is another position, just like the graphic design person, I could say you could probably do without. So the next thing you're going to need is a community manager. You're going to need someone that's managing your Twitter accounts, your Discord, if you're going on other social media like Instagram, really it's Twitter and Discord are the main two, but people are starting to branch out to Instagram and Facebook now. If you're going to those, whatever, you're going to need someone to manage and oversee those. Discord itself is one of the biggest assets of an NFT launch next to Twitter. Twitter, you can think about is really like for announcements, broadcast your thought process on something, keeping people up to date. Hey, check this out, like that type of stuff. It's for quick interactions that way, where you're like, hey, or giveaways, just stuff that's like that type of stuff, where your community lives in your Discord. And that's what's really, I can't say enough, I highly recommend getting a Discord manager that's overseeing the entire Discord itself. And then you'll have several mods that are helping that person out, or Discord mods. They're people that help out. In case you don't know what that is, they're usually from the community itself. But it depends on how you want to set that up. And again, we'll get into actually building out and setting up all your teams in later videos. Today's more about the phases and just giving you more of a complete outline. So you're going to need a Discord person and really a social media person would be ideal. Again, you can cut down on these a little bit. The Discord, I would not recommend at all. Maybe your Discord and your social media person are the same, but you really need someone. Discord is huge. You will live or die. Your project can literally live or die via your Discord. Twitter, super important too, but like I said, it's more for announcements and getting the word out, things like that about what's going on, blah, 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 where Discord's where your family is. The next actual department we're looking at is your development department. You're going to need someone to do the Solidity coding for the smart contract and everything. And then you're going to need someone to be able to build out the Web3 portion of it, you know, the DApp, the decentralized app. You're going to need someone to build that out. And again, those could be the same people. Sometimes it is, but that's one you can't skip on. You definitely need, you know, a development partner, someone that, or a development department, someone that's going to be able to do all the coding, that's going to be able to do everything you need to do to make sure that all the magic behind all the tech stuff happens right. So those are some of the ones you cannot skip on. So the operations manager, let's do a little recap here of the building phase. Operations manager might be you as the founder. You might be the person overseeing and running everything. And if so, that's fine. But again, if you want to run this like a business, if you want to have a multi-million-dollar brand, I recommend setting it up and structuring it like a business, you know. So you're going to have the operations manager, then you're going to have your marketing or your art department, which again doesn't necessarily need a head of it, but you're going to have your artist in there, your graphic artist. Your graphics artist could sort of fall underneath marketing. We'll go to marketing next. That's your marketing department. Super important. You're going to have your copywriter in there. It's going to be doing emails. You know, they're going to be doing posts. They're going to be doing all your different articles on Medium. Super important to be putting out content like this. I cannot express to you how important it is to make as much noise as possible in every front that has anything to do with NFTs when you're launching NFTs, going out there and making as many collaborations, working with influencers that are in the space. It was one of the biggest mistakes. We'll get to this later in the promotion phase, but man, that's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen time and time again is people going after an audience, huge audience, and thinking just because they're talking about NFTs that their audience is going to become running because they have millions of people. And it doesn't really work that way, unfortunately. It's much easier to go to low-hanging fruit. Again, that's not inferring anything other than it's easy to go after people that are already in the space that understand the value of it. You don't have to go over that bridge of just teaching them what an NFT is, you know, like how do you set up a crypto wallet, all that type of stuff. That's huge amount of friction for people to have to go through just to buy your product. So it makes more sense to go to where people are already educated about this. So the next thing we're going to be getting into is the creation phase. Now, this is the actual creation and making of the NFT. And these phases are going to sort of overlap. This is a flowing type thing. But again, you don't want to leave the design idea phase and move to the creation phase until you've locked down those super important details. And again, I'll break down all these different phases more in depth and in other videos, really just go into it. I don't want to make this too long. You know, the Facebook algorithm go too long and with the view time is not high enough. So by the way, if you are watching this still, thank you so much. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. So phase number 2, we're talking about phase number 2 is your creation. Now, this is when everything's getting made, including the NFTs. For most artists, they're going to have a minimum of 4 to 8 weeks to be able to get the product out, depending on how many different, how you're doing about it, if it's generative or one-ofs, or if it's 3D or whatever it is. Usually the standard that I've found is 4 to 8 weeks, you know, 1 to 2 months to get a project out. Usually about 30 days, 30 to 45 days. But I've also, it depends on the complexity of it, it could easily go up to 8 weeks. So during this time, you're going to want to be getting all your prototypes made so that you can use prototype examples of what your NFTs are going to look like, because this is going to be all your marketing material that you're going to be putting together as you're planning out during this phase, your marketing strategy. You know, really this too is going to be, you could have started this earlier. There's not like a deadline. Realize for you to move into the marketing phase, you're going to need a minimum of 30 days before your launch. Minimum. I don't recommend going past 60 days for your marketing promotion phase. Because what I found with NFTs is there's so much going on, people shiny object to the next thing. They're like, yeah. So realistically, the sweet spot I found is 30 to 45 days. And that might vary for your audience. You have to ask yourself, how long can you really keep their attention? Because that's what's really about when it comes to marketing, is grabbing people's attention and moving it towards your product. You know what I mean? Like on the simplest thing. So how long can you keep someone's attention? You know, when I used to coach people on marketing, one of the things that people would say is like, how long do I keep going? I'm like, until you have nothing valuable to say to some degree, you know, like don't just start blabbing, putting out stuff that's just to put for the sake of putting something out. That's silly. But as long as you got something to say, put it out there. Creation phase, again, you know, you're doing your sizzle reel. If I recommend, you know, if you can, especially if you're doing like 3D or something, have some type of video, something that's walking people through the video, the NFTs themselves. Maybe you have the creation process in there. There's all types of cool stuff. You know, when you're working with artists, they can send you videos of them making the NFTs, drawing it out, whatever they're doing in the creation part. You want to take all those little clips of stuff and use that in your marketing and promotion. People love seeing how things are made. And also, as it's being created, maybe you can include some of your audience in here. Maybe as you're opening up your Discord and you've got your OGs or whatever you call them, I call them DHs or diamond hands, you know, these are people, the ones that have been around original. Maybe you're asking for some input of them, you know. Again, I'll break down how soon and when you should be doing everything more in depth in later videos. I'll break down each phase and go really in depth into it. So again, we got marketing promotion. Now on this one, we're going to be working with your influencers, your collaborations. You're going to be doing potential affiliates. You're going to be doing contests. You're going to be doing PR campaigns, email campaigns, social media campaigns. I don't know about ads. I haven't ran any myself, and I've talked to many people, and I've yet to talk to anyone who's ran an ad campaign, and they've definitely like said, hey, the ads made the difference. But, you know, social media, you're going to have Twitter Spaces, you're going to have Clubhouse, you're going to have Facebook potentially, you're going to want to get on podcasts, you're going to want to be doing interviews of other people in the space, anything you can to create noise and draw attention. Again, I'll really break down marketing and promotion in later videos. So then after that, again, those phases, you go from the creation, once you've got the ideas and everything and team built down, you go to the creation phase. That's when you're making everything out. That's usually anywhere from 4 to 6, 8 weeks, depending, 4 to 6 weeks usually. Then you're going to go into marketing phase. And again, these overlap. Don't think these are like, okay, the only one that is cut and paste, you don't go from A till B, is the idea to the creation phase. If you don't have your ideas and everything, your design locked down, don't move into the creation phase. Everything else is going to sort of overlap and flow. So again, the marketing phase, 30, 45 days. Now, during this phase, you're doing everything we talked about. After you move after that, you're going into actual launch phase itself, which ideally, if you're doing everything right, your launch phase is just a couple of days, you know, maybe even a couple of hours or minutes if you do it right, you know. Usually, I would recommend if you go over, say, 8 weeks, or not 8 weeks, sorry. If you go over, you know, like probably like 2 to 4 weeks, actually. I guess you go up to 8, but if there's going to be a point where you need to know that, hey, if we haven't sold out by this, we need to have a game plan in place to raise value to the project so that we can helpfully potentially sell the rest out or burn the rest or whatever it is, but there needs to be a plan B in case plan A doesn't work. Now, usually you're going to have enough noise that you're not going to have to worry about that if you do everything right that I've talked about. So, but during this time, you're going to be hitting out all the publications, you know, all the blogs, all your media content, all the stuff your graphic artist has been making while they're working with your copywriter. So you can have this amazing content that is just pushing out, you know, on all the different platforms. Really make sure you look into Medium. That's a highly researched, you know, platform that people are constantly putting out stuff about NFTs in the industry. You know, like I said, podcasts, reaching out to other influencers in the space. Stay in the space. There is enough people right now, even though NFTs are still super new, super small, that it's going to be easier to go out to other people and expose them to you, and then being like, yes, let me jump on that already understand NFTs and everything, versus trying to go get them. Trust me, most major artists or audiences can only pull like 20-30% max of their total audience into the NFT space right now, because people just don't understand them. And then those that don't too, sometimes they think they're scams. During this time too, during the launch, you're going to be want to do AMAs in your Discord and in Twitter spaces all the time. I recommend at least 2 AMAs a week, minimum. I cannot express this enough. You cannot over communicate to your NFT holders and potential NFT holders what's going on with everything, so constantly be putting stuff out there, announcements in Discord, doing AMAs, maybe one in the morning, and then 2 days later you're doing one at night. So you're getting different time zones, but you have to communicate. So that is, phase 4, which ideally is like 30 seconds to 14 days. Really, if you're looking at 2 weeks, a month out, like you got to do something big. Like if you're starting to get that far out from your launch and you haven't sold out yet, the chances of someone all of a sudden being like, "Ooh, hey, let's do this. Let's buy out the floor and let's mint them out," And then the problem too is the farther you get away from your launch, the more people start getting paper hands. They start worrying, so they start undercutting the mint because they just want to get their money back, because they don't think the project's going to mint out. It's not going to do well. They figure, oh, there's another one that's going to zero, so they start getting scared. Which to some degree you can't blame them, but so then they put it out. They start undercutting the mint price, which drops the floor dramatically. Everything starts crashing, and that's just the beginning of the end, people. So you've got to have something in place, like, hey, if at the end of like 2 or 3 days we're not seeing enough traction, what can we do? Who can we work with? Like maybe you should have had that done before. I don't know, but you should always have a contingency plan. You should always think, like, one of the things we're doing a lot is, hey, if it hits that 14-day mark, we're just going to burn the rest of them. Ideally it might only be a couple hundred or whatever, or maybe do one last big campaign or something. But that's really up to you and your marketing strategy and your planning for your entire campaign. And this is something you need to have in place. You have to have all this planned out before you get to launch. So anyway, you launch, you're going to be doing merch drops. During this time, maybe you might be doing other collaborations or promotions. Ideally the launch period's not that long. Now, the 5th and final is your post-launch. Now, when you're in your idea design phase, and I'll talk about this again in other videos, you should be planning out for at least a year what your project's going to be doing. Realistically, you want to have a 3-year idea. I recommend people having a 3-year goal, but stuff changes so much, you can't really guess what's going to happen. So, I do a tentative 3-year plan. Hey, ideally we'd like to be doing X, Y, and Z, but you need a solid 1-year plan. Hey, after launch, within 30 days, we're going to be doing X. Hey, in 2 months after that, Y. In 180 days, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this meetup. We're going to be doing this virtual summit. And again, the cool thing is when you plan out your roadmap that way, the roadmap becomes a version of the utilities, what they're going to get, but it's just future pacing it out. Hey, down the road, this is what you're going to be getting. So the cool thing is when you plan out your roadmap in longevity and not just for the launch, hey, when we hit 10%, 20, that's so cheesy. That's almost like you're not expecting your launch to sell out. Like we're taking percentages of stuff and using it for utilities and roadmaps, but it's not like, oh, if we hit 10%, we're doing X, because I found that when you structure it a lot of times like that, it's almost like you're not intending to sell out. You know what I mean? So anyway, I like to structure my roadmaps in like with the intent of everything being sold out, and here's what we're doing, and we'll get into building out roadmaps and everything in later videos. If that's something interests you, let me know what of this you'd like to know more about down in the comments, and I'll be sure to make more videos on this. But the post-launch phase, meetups, you might be doing metaverse stuff. Be careful of the over-promising. This is one of the biggest things that I've found working with people is they want to promise the moon. And in theory, on paper, that all sounds great, but the problem is very often you can't deliver. And in this realm, in this world of NFTs, the number one thing you want to always do is under promise and over deliver. It's way better to have a roadmap that's not like, oh, amazing, and you're doing stuff as it's going versus, hey, we're going to do it, we're going to build in the metaverse, we're going to do this. Because here's the deal, like, half these people you see in these roadmaps now, we're going to do a game. They don't have anybody that's ever made a game on their team. And that's so hard to make a game that's fun, that's playable, that's going to work, that's play to earn. Are you kidding me? Then they're throwing play to earn mechanics in there for tokenomics and all this other stuff. You got to really make sure that your roadmaps are realistic. So we're getting off here. These are for other videos. These are the 5 phases you got to do. So first phase, you got your idea, design, team building phase. That starts immediately as soon as you really decide you're going all in on this project. Don't leave the idea phase and move to the creation phase until you've locked everything down. You have all the answers about what your NFT is. Going into the design phase. The design phase is when you're making everything. You're relying on your artist and prepping everything for your marketing phase and promotion phase, which you're moving into next. Again, these are going to overlap. Your marketing and promotion phase, roughly from time of launch, is going to be about 30 to 45 days. Ideally, you can extend it out to 60, but that's a huge project that can create a lot of noise and maintain it. If that's not you, don't try and push that date. Keep it in that 30 to 45 day window. Once you've launched, then you're in the launch phase. Make sure you're delivering, make sure on everything you promise, make sure you're keeping everybody informed. That is one of the biggest things with launches is talking and communication. Okay, you got to be doing AMAs, just doing interviews as much as you can. Let everyone know what's going on. Confusion and people unclarity leads to people getting paper hands, and once people start undercutting a mint, if you have a mint out, you're done. So, and then the final phase is phase number 5. That is your post-launch. And that is your most important phase, really, because this is when real work starts. Like, if you guys thought you were working your butt off before, this is when the real work starts, because now you have to provide value to your holders. You have to provide value to people who've turned their hard dollars into crypto and then handed them to you because they believed in you and your project and what your vision is. So this is when you got to deliver. So with that, I appreciate you watching today's video. Hopefully you found value. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up, like the video, comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see, what questions you have. I can't thank you so much for watching these videos. It means so much to me. I see a huge need in the NFT space for marketing and promotions and just the whole from A to B, C to finish, start to finish steps. That just nothing's been laid out. There's nothing out there that is teaching everyone what you need to do to have a successful campaign, to market, to create, and to promote and monetize your NFTs. And that's what this channel is all about. So thanks so much again for watching. I appreciate you being here. Can't thank you enough. I'm out of here. Peace.